Michael, welcome to New Zealand. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme. I know it's a real whizzing visit straight through on the plane any second now. You're here as part of an idea called Back to Church Sunday. Tell me a bit about what that is.
Well, it started in 2004 with just an idea of a guest service, and unbeknown to us when we actually kind of started it, the results that actually came from it were just kind of amazing. We started it in Manchester. Some 80 churches came back to us to report that they'd received 800 guests on the very first Back to Church Sunday. And so, first of all, we were a little bit shocked, that so many would actually kind of come. And then we were slightly worried as to kind of what we'd sent people back to. But since then, it has, we kind of feel that actually kind of God has allowed us to kind of work with something that is a bridge to people who would like to come back.
Because I think that the common perception would be that the church is becoming less relevant to society as a whole, and that people just aren't interested in it anymore.
Well, actually, kind of in the UK, where we have some statistics, it says that there are 3 million people who actually would like to come to church, but actually only if invited by a friend. So when you think that there's 3 million people who would like to, and yet they're not coming, they need the friend to get them over the threshold of the church. There is a huge amount of people out there that actually God is already working with. And we assume, of course, as Christians, wrongly, that God only works in our congregations, in our services, particularly between 10:30 and 12 on a Sunday morning. And other than that, or actually only in the church building during the week. And we forget that actually kind of God works throughout the whole of the country at different times in people's lives.
So really what this is about is not about, it is about getting people from outside to return to church, but it's as much about telling us to go out and talk to people.
Indeed. This is an internal mission for those people in the congregations, because we have got out of the habit of actually inviting our friends. And Back to Church Sunday is quite simple, because if there was a training evening for it, it would probably last about 30 seconds. And which is a bit of a shame, because if one ever wanted to make any money out of it, not a lot you can do with 30 seconds, but it would go something like this. Would you like to come to the pictures with me? Now that's a nice, easy question, that isn't it? And most people will say, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Now the big question is, would you like to come to church with me? And for most people, listening to that, they would say, did you say church then? And the other person said, I might have done. What's your answer if I did? But there's a fear in actually kind of asking that question. We've just got out of the habit. In fact, there's a fear on the other side of that question, because of course, there's the 3 million in the UK who would come back if invited by friends. So why don't they come? This fear on both sides of it. And this is the fear that actually is blocking what God is doing already in our nations.
So why are we so reluctant? Because it's one of the fundamental things that we're supposed to do as Christians.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Ingrained in us from childhood has been, we don't talk about sex, politics and religion. Everything is extremely private. I don't know where that ungodly thought came from, but in all of us it's there. People's faith is their own privacy. But fascinatingly, kind of just before Back to Church Sunday in the UK, 30 mystery worshippers, unchurched people, were sent into into churches in Northern England, and they came out with 4 findings. So 30 unchurched people. Some had been to church before, some had never been to church before, right across the kind of the age spectrum. And they said, firstly, that they enjoyed the experience. They felt that the welcome was okay. Maybe a bit surprising, but they enjoyed it. And that they said that they would go back again. So if only the kind of the cost of sending them was not as much as it was, I was thinking, here's a good way of getting people back to church. Second finding was that they had very, very low expectations. Therefore, the welcome was always going to be kind of fine because they had so low expectations about what it was that they were going to kind of get. And when you think about it, in churches where there are baptisms, you can tell the baptism party from those who naturally go to church. They're better dressed. Because there's a sense in which we have to kind of dress up in actually to go to church. We have to be holy in order to go to church. And we've given that impression, which is completely and utterly kind of ridiculous, because knowing some of our congregations, holiness and Christianity sometimes doesn't go together. But so finding number 2 was they had low expectations. Finding number 3 was that we have to realise that actually church is not the service. It's not the people. And they said where they kind of got most of their welcome was in the fellowship afterwards. We need to find a way to facilitate going from the service into the fellowship smoothly, almost imperceptibly. And the fourth thing that they came back with, when the group was asked, the leader of the group was asked, what would you say to the church? What would you say to the church? And the leader said, to have confidence. To have confidence in what you've got compared with outside. Actually, this is something special. Have confidence. And you see, if we don't do our job, then even the unchurched will cry out. Even the unchurched will become evangelists. Even the stones will cry out.
You've had a Back to Church Sunday here in New Zealand, in Wellington. How did that go?
Went really well. In fact, the New Zealand kind of experience has been even better percentage-wise than the British experience. In New Zealand, there were 43 churches in Wellington that actually kind of did Back to Church Sunday, and some 840 people accepted invitations to come. Just absolutely brilliant. Kind of to think that it's transferable, that it is, at the end of the day, a friend inviting a friend. And, I just want to talk about kind of the title of Back to Church Sunday, because there's something in the word back where people feel it's about people coming back who've been before. Well, actually, what we've discovered is that God had a different idea. It's a friend inviting a friend, whether they've ever been to church or not. And we found in the kind of the New Zealand experience, it's even better than the British experience, which is great, because 37,000 came back in the UK in September.
Wow. It's a real challenge, isn't it?
Indeed.
Challenge to all of us.
Indeed. Yeah.
Right. Well, Michael, thank you very much. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.